Hey guys, for today's video, we're going to be giving my client a little bit more of a snip and brightening her up to give her a little bit more of a sandy blonde color. You can follow me on Instagram at Modern Blonde by Christy.
Hey guys, it's been a long time since I've been on camera. I know the salon that I work at right now, I don't really have any days to myself. And then also the back room isn't that far back like the other one was. So the sound travels really bad, and then also the music plays back here. So today's like the only day that I can choose to like not have the music on, or else I'll get copyrighted. Anyways, so my client that I'm doing today, oh yeah, so I just wanted to say hi. I know it's been a while since I've actually been on camera. So the client that I'm doing today, we chopped her hair the last time that she was here, and we kind of just did a really soft blonde. She wants to go even shorter today and then brighten her up a little bit more. So we're just gonna go through and do like a foliage, a little bit heavier, still maybe kind of rooty so it grows out softly. And then we're gonna use Schwarzkopf Blonde Me with 20 volume and Olaplex to lighten her hair.
All right, and here we go to start the service. Schwarzkopf Blonde Me with 20 volume and Olaplex, some of my favorite bleach to use. And here's my new location. I haven't really showed you guys around too much. So here's the new salon that I'm currently at. So here's my clients before you, like you saw in the beginning. Her hair had really soft grow out. Her hair we don't ever really do too heavy of a blonde. So today is something that's a little bit different because we've never done a full foil. So this is definitely going to be a lot different than what we've done previously. To start her service off, we're going to do her highlights around her hairline. She does like to be a little bit brighter and more bold around her face. You can see, even though her hair was really soft, she had a really bright money piece. So that's been pretty typical with the way that we do her hair. So we're going to go through and do her hairline foils, go about 4 back, and then repeat the same on the other side. A lot of people ask how come I always start my foils on the hairline, and that's because I feel like the hairline is the most detailed part of the color, because no matter if your hair is down or if you pull your hair back in a ponytail or whatever, those highlights around your face is what's going to stand out the most. So I would rather start my surface off and do my application first around the hairline to make sure that I'm getting my foils in exactly how I want them. You never really know like what a person's hairline is. Sometimes it's more at a diagonal, sometimes it's more straight up and down. So there's been times in the past where I've started in the very back and worked my way up to the top and then done the hairline kind of last. And then because I've already put those foils in, I'm not able to foil around the hairline as I would want to because those foils that are in the back get in the way. So I prefer to just do my foils in the front first and know that I'm getting the exact detail that I want, the right amount of foils. I'm able to go in at the angle that best suits their hairline. So that's why I like to do my foils around the hairline first. And also, it's not damaging. Like, it's not going to sit here and like damage her hair or anything. I always check. I'll pull the foils out early if I need to. So it's always fine. There's never any damage or anything. It's just 20 volume. Like, it's not going to be too harsh on the hair. By the way, I also got my speed up like almost 2.5, 3 times fast. So if it looks like I'm manhandling my client, I'm not. I mean, maybe I'm Kayla. Am I? Are you watching this? Like, hit me up in the comments, Kayla, if you're watching this. Am I manhandling you? A lot of people will see my videos and they're like, oh my God, you're so rough on your clients. I'm like, bruh, like, this isn't fast forward. I just look like I'm being rough. I'm really not. I don't think I am. Anyways, so I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not being abusive. All right, so we're just gonna finish up these last few foils, doing just some really fine baby lights. Some of them are like a little thicker of a weave, but still we're doing like fine foils for the most part. And same with going into her money piece now. We're going to do just really fine little weaves. We're going to basically weave out just a few little strands of hair because I don't want this to be like a huge chunky money piece. I still want there to be a little bit of her natural kind of going through to soften it up a little bit, but we do want it to be a little bit brighter. So I'm going to be doing like a heavier weave and just leaving out some really fine little strands of hair. We're going to do about 4 foils back on the hairline, and this is going to give her a really nice bright bold money piece, good coverage. We're weaving it so it's still going to blend a little bit more. If your client wants to have a bright money piece but she wants it to blend and be a little bit softer at the root, then you can always go through and back comb it to give it a little bit more of a cushion. And this is her final hairline. And this usually takes me about 30 to 45 minutes sometimes, depending on the hair, to get this in. We're going to start doing our foils at the bottom of the hairline. And because we're going to do a root shadow, I'm not very particular on her hairline underneath just because we're going to be covering up the root area. So I'm not worried about like having this like super Instagram aesthetic looking hairline in the back because no matter what, it's going to blend and look really good because we're going to blur out any of the foil lines with a root shadow. Also, the reason why I like to use a board because people will ask me sometimes, I've been doing hair for about 20 years now and like my hands start cramping if I have to use my hand to stabilize a foil. So using a board really helps alleviate any tension in my hand. So if you haven't tried using a board, like I highly recommend it because it really saves my hand. I feel like I can saturate a lot more evenly because I have the back of the board to like stabilize and make sure that I can apply a lot of pressure. So that way I'm getting like really great saturation. Then I'll go through and like hold the foil if I need to, whatever. But generally I like using a board for the most part. I've also been asked how come I don't like putting the foil down on the board and then applying my lightener. And that's because I feel like I've tried that before and maybe I'm like an idiot or something. But it was like really hard to try and keep the foil stabilized without it moving around and then making sure I was like, I don't know, it was just difficult. So I would rather just like paint on the board and then like slap the hair on the foil towards the end. So that's just the way that I do it. That works best for me. And I'm sure everybody's got like a million other ways that work for them. So. I want to point out also, as I'm going through and doing her hair, you'll notice that there's some areas where I'm leaving thicker sections of her natural out. That's because I want to make sure that I'm leaving a lot of room for dimension in her hair. If you do too heavy of blonde, then you basically lose the brightness because you're just so bright everywhere, nothing stands out. So making sure in some areas that you leave pockets of depth is going to make sure that the blonde stands out really nicely. You're going to have those really pretty ribbons of blonde showing through, and also will help blend a little bit more with their hair. So if somebody wants to just be like really bright solid blonde, like, go for it. But I feel like leaving some of these pockets of depth in the hair really helps create some really pretty ribbons in the hair. Which also, like, when you're curling the hair, I think that looks really, really pretty. Or when you're pulling the hair up and then you can see like all the different like tones. I think it's really pretty to leave lots of depth in the hair for that reason. So I'm going to continue finishing up this foil, and I basically like to go side, side, center, working my way up the head. I don't really like doing like a right side and left side of the back of the head because I don't like it to feel like too evenly placed everywhere. I want it to feel kind of like more organic and natural feeling. Like, I know that it's not like natural, obviously, but like, I just don't like it when you can see in hair and it's like perfectly like precision foils and like the same weave, the same subsection everywhere. I like to have a little bit more variation in the color. I like to do more like slices versus weaves versus baby lights. That way there's like a whole bunch of different tones within the hair and it's not like the same all over. As I work my way towards the top of the crown area, this is where I start to do more, a little bit finer details of foils, and I don't do as heavy of subsections in between. I'll do like one last thicker subsection just to leave that dimension where this top crown area will fall on top of. But generally, I like to be pretty standard with my sections in this area to make sure that we have nice evenness. Wherever the hair falls, it's gonna feel even all over. I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking she's contradicting herself because she just said that she doesn't like it to be too precise all over. What I mean is when you're in the back crown area or some areas where the hair parts, I will be more detailed in those areas because have you like staggered your foils or kind of done more of like sporadic partings and sectionings and whatever, and then where their hair falls and where their hair lays, like where their cowlick is, then you're like, oh crap, like all their hair falls on one side or all the blonde falls on one side. It's not evenly distributed. So just in certain areas like where they part their hair and like the back of the crown, I like to make sure that I'm getting more detailed work in those areas so that way where their hair parts normally, it's gonna have even distribution. I don't want it to like all the blonde to fall on one side and then they have like a whole bunch of dark on one side of the head and then a whole bunch of blonde on the other side. So make sure in those areas, the back of the crown and like where they part their hair and like the hairline, that you're making sure it's like even blonde on those sides. I'll do like an inch wide, inch and a half wide section where I'll do more of a finer baby light and less of a subsection, and I'll just do that inch section and just pack those foils in where they part their hair. That way, if their hair falls a little bit more on one side than the other side, generally, like, where somebody parts their hair, it's not going to vary too far off. You have like about an inch range where they're that side of the hair where their hair is going to part at. So if you pack those foils in that inch range, like, you're pretty much good. So you'll notice in areas where they part their hair, I'm going to do like less of a subsection, finer weaves, and I'm going to pack the foils in a little bit more than through the rest of the hair. You'll see when I'm doing her foils up the side of the head, like, look how big of a chunky weave that is. And then some of the other pieces are like more of a really blended weave or just a slice. So giving some variation in your application of your foils will give the hair a lot more dimension. You'll see some more blended pieces, but then throughout the hair, you'll see some brighter ribbons of blonde. And I think that looks really, really pretty. Now that we've done our full application, we're going to go through and just tip out some of the ends. We've cut off a lot of, like, you don't know, her hair was so long and then she had a baby, and you know how that goes. You want to cut your hair and then you keep wanting to cut your hair. So we've cut off a lot of the blonde through the ends that she had previously. So we're just going to go back through and add a little bit more blonde through the ends of her hair. I don't know if you guys do this, but one trick to get the ends of the foil, like the tip outs, to process a little bit faster is once you like fold it up is tuck it in between, like right there, tuck it in between the foils that are processing at the scalp. The ends of the hair don't get that much heat from the scalp, so it doesn't process as much. So if you fold your foils up and tuck it in between the scalp foils, you're gonna get better lift a little bit faster. So that's like something that I've always done, and I don't think a lot of people know to do that. So if you haven't tried that, I really suggest it because you'll get much better lift through your service. And here's her final application. This probably took me like 2.5 hours.
Okay, so my client just got done processing. We did a pretty heavy foliage. She sat for probably like 45 minutes processing just because the ends took a while to lift fully. So we're going to tone her hair right now, and what I'm going to use is my Paul Mitchell, the Demi. Normally we go pretty ashy, but because the ends of her hair where we lightened it up didn't get as light as her root area, I don't want to feel like she has like the super bright cool blonde and then like a lot of warmth through the ends. So I'm gonna use 10 PA, 9V, and 10 NB. And I was advised by somebody that is a Paul Mitchell educator. I like to use the rose gold in my formulations, but they said like because it's a metallic dye not to mix it with the other demi colors. And so instead of using rose gold, I'm going to use 10 NB to add that warmth back in the hair, because if you have a problem with your blondes like overtoning and grabbing really ashy, adding like a gold in there will help it like balance the tones, and it won't grab as ashy. It will like give it a nice cool blonde, but prevent it from like overtoning. So instead of using the rose gold, I'm now going to use the 10 NB, which is kind of my favorite now. It gives it a really pretty bright cool blonde. So I'm going to do basically like half and half of my like equal parts of the 9V and 10 PA, and then I'm just going to do like a quick little drop of the 10 NB. So that's what we're going to be mixing today for her all over blonde highlights.
All right, we're gonna do equal parts of the 9V and the 10 PA and just a little smidge of the 10 NB.
Okay, I'm also gonna go through and do like a soft root shadow because we wanted to take it all the way up to her roots, but we don't want it to be like, she kind of wanted like a variation between some pieces all the way up and then also some pieces like not as far up. So to kind of even it out and blend it, I'm going to do a root shadow with 7.4 and 8.0. So the 7.4 is a medium blonde beige, and then the 8 is like an 8 neutral. So we're not gonna like darken it down too much. We're just gonna give it like a really soft little hint of a shadow.
Equal parts of 7-4 and 8-0, and I'm gonna do her application. I didn't record it, sorry, it's just kind of hard with the setup. So I started her application down at the nape of the neck, and that's gonna grab a little bit darker than up at the top of the hairline because that's gonna sit a little bit longer, which is fine. I don't mind it grabbing a little bit more around the bottom because, by the way, look at that color right there. Look how pretty that is from those chunkier weaves. I think that looks so gorgeous. So when the hair is a little bit darker underneath anyway, so I don't mind that it grabs a little bit darker down in that area. And then it probably really only sat for like 10 minutes on the top and maybe like 3 minutes right on the hairline. So here's her hair straightened. And then we're going to go through and throw some curls in. And you guys, it is that time of the year now where the sun is leaving us. So you know what that means? I'm not getting very good footage for my after pictures, videos, whatever. So pay attention to the color while I'm curling her hair because it looks really, really pretty. And when I go to take the pictures and like the after video, whatever, like I was struggling. I was literally posing her all around the salon, trying to find the best lighting, but everywhere was making her hair look so much more yellow than what it really was. So here's your after right now. Okay. Ta-da. She actually has a really pretty cool tone to her hair. At the end, it's going to look very gold. But I'm really, really happy with the hair, those brighter blonde pieces. I like the way the root shadow looks. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out. Like, this is basically the after color. It's not going to look the same in the very end. All right, I know somebody's going to ask. So the curling iron that I'm using is by Jay-Z Styles. I believe it's called the J-Wave. And I love it because it has a longer barrel. I think it's like an inch. And this is perfect for somebody that has extensions or whatever because the barrel is so long, like you can get those perfect curls. I love it. And I'm using Big Sexy Hairspray because let me tell you, that stuff will hold your hair in place. The finished curls, they look so pretty, and then it's gonna look not so pretty because of like the bad lighting in here and the sun is gone. So admire it right now. Take it in, people, because it's not gonna get any better after this because the lighting's just so horrible. So I think it looks so pretty, and you can see what I'm talking about when I mention like different variations in weaves, slices, blended weaves, whatever. You can see in her hair she has more blended pieces, but then she also has some like more defined ribbons. So don't feel like you have to be stuck with just baby lights. I know baby lights are really like popular right now, but don't feel like you only have to do baby lights or you only have to do slices. Like, break up your foils and do like heavier weaves or chunkier foils with like thicker weaves in there. Do like some soft baby lights or some slices or what, just like mix it up. It's gonna make the hair look really, really pretty. You're gonna get a lot more dimension within the hair. And here she is. This made her eye color stand out so much. It looked gorgeous on her. I wish I could have gotten a close-up like of her face because when she turned around, I was like, oh my God, your eyes look so pretty. So here's her before again. And see what I'm talking about? Look at this. Look at this color. Yes, it looks pretty, but it does not look, you cannot see the true tone as when she was sitting in my chair. So it looks pretty. Sorry for getting excited and yelling at you guys, but I'm just saying, like, could we already be back in spring and summer? This sun is gonna drive me crazy. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Modern Blonde by Christy.